Bonjour et bienvenue sur un nouvel épisode de On peut le dire. I'm doing this because this is now the 5th time that I've attempted the recording. I don't know why the camera seems to change the zoom when I sit down, so it keeps cutting out my head. And I know the 14th of July was recently, but I don't fancy having a headless video up. This is not what we're doing. Anyhow, a while ago somebody asked in the comments if I could cover syllables in French, and so that's what we're going to start doing today, hopefully. And I'd already tidied everything up, so this one is done without my script next to me. Hopefully, since I've done it 4 times, I'll be fine. You'd figure, right? I've got my 2 lovely assistants as well today. So, bonjour Alex et bonjour Camille. Syllables are what we're looking at today. We are starting with recognizing and counting syllables in spoken French. So when you listen, can you spot your syllables? And then we'll move on to connecting that with reading and writing. This is to mimic the way you've probably learned about syllables in your first language, I'm guessing. And it's also because I think syllables are a much more straightforward concept to hear than it is to read, if that makes sense. What are syllables? They're a cluster of sounds that revolve around a vowel phoneme. That's it. And they're basically a beat. So if you listen to a French person speaking, you find their beat, the boom, 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 and each boom is a syllable. And that's it. You can't have a syllable without a vowel phoneme, but you can have a syllable without a consonant phoneme. That's fine. Alright? We have 2 main types of syllables. One is called open syllables, and that's when they end with the vowel phoneme. Alright? So either it's a vowel phoneme on its own, a is a syllable, or it could be a consonant and a vowel together forming a syllable. Ka. In those 2 cases, you can distinctly hear and you can even see that it's just one beat. A, ka. So you can count a, ka, a, ka, a, ka. You can count like that and see one count is one syllable. So open syllables end with the vowel sound, like a or ka. Bo is another one. B-o, bo. That's open. That's the one we tend to have the most in French. And then you have closed syllables, which are the ones that end in a consonant. So you definitely will have a vowel and a consonant at least. You might have consonant, vowel, consonant. For example, you could have in French or even in English the word er, er, er. That's a syllable as well as a word, and it's made up of the vowel sound e, which we coded like that with my year 7s this year. So e, r, so er, and that makes one syllable. So we have in this case the vowel e and the consonant r. You could also have consonant, vowel, consonant, for example with the word mère, which is also one syllable. So you can have a word which is just one syllable, mère, which is mother. Okay? So in English you tend to have more closed syllables, while in French we tend to prefer open syllables. So in English you tend to do a lot of mom, dad, things like that, and in French we tend to do beau, bas, chat, chien. So that's it for that. What is a syllable? It's a beat in the spoken French, and it's arranged around a vowel phoneme. The boss of the beat is a vowel. Now, the standard general rule for French is that all syllables are equal value. So if you took, for example, a music sheet, and you can have different notes, and I think you call the different types of notes different values. I haven't revised that, and I don't know how you call them in English. In French we call them des croches and des blanches and des rondes. So maybe there's one that's worth 4 beats and one that's 2 beats and one that's 1. In French the general rule is every syllable is the same beat, just 1. You last 1. So if you have a metronome that does that, every syllable is 1. Okay, we don't normally have a and then one other syllable that's 1 and one that's 2. You don't do ba, ba, ba. It doesn't work. So we do ba, 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 ba. In theory. While in English you can go ba, 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 but you can go all over the place. But not in French. In practice, we tweak that a little bit with what we call accent tonique, which puts some stress or some emphasis on the last syllable of a word or phrase or clause or sentence. And you can also add another sort of stress, which is more to do with emotion. And I forget what that one is called, so we'll look at it again later. You can spot your syllables just by counting the beats. And so in theory you could practice that after the video. You could take any sentence in French that you might have written in your French book or wherever, and you can just hold it, and if you march around or on a straight line if you have enough space, but in my experience you need a lot of space because you end up marching for a long time. So if you march to a steady pace and every step you take is one syllable you speak, you should get close to that pure, unemotional French way of speaking. But again, what is a syllable? When you listen to French, one syllable is one beat, or spoken French, and one beat is one vowel phoneme, and it's accompanying consonant phoneme, basic. So that's it. Now we are going to practice, and for this practice, what I'd like you to do is figure out your own little code to count out your syllables, which again are the beats that you'll hear based on a vowel phoneme. So mine today seems to be this. It just happened. You could tap your foot. I don't recommend clicking or tapping because that will interfere with your hearing, so there's no point. So, but just doing something like that is fine. So yeah, count out the syllables. I'll first say a sentence that I've written about my two companions. I'll probably try and do it twice in that unemotional steady beat, which sounds a bit unnatural. Then I'll do it once in a normal tone, or twice in a normal tone actually. Let's do it twice, and then we'll correct it. And then I've got some books I can read from to continue exploring what syllables sound like and what the pace might sound like as well. So let me grab those two for comfort and hopefully for luck. So come on, fifth time lucky. Isn't there a thing like that? There should be. So ready to count your syllables? We're going to start now. Bonjour, voici Camille et Alex qui me tiennent compagnie aujourd'hui. That was probably not very steady, so if you're a musician and you're like, that was not steady, I'm sorry, please forgive me. It's not how I would normally talk, and I have a really rubbish sense of rhythm. So, hopefully with that out of the way, let's do it again. Bonjour, voici Camille et Alex qui me tiennent compagnie aujourd'hui. Now if I said that in a bit of a more natural voice. Bonjour, voici Camille et Alex qui me tiennent compagnie aujourd'hui. Bonjour, voici Camille et Alex qui me tiennent compagnie aujourd'hui. There you go. Let's count with Alex's paw. Oh, I'm Camille's head. Oh, that's funny. I've got to entertain myself. Sorry, guys. Can't wait for September. So, let's do this. So we had bonjour, two syllables, two key vowels, on and ou, bonjour, two beats. Bonjour, voici, two, Camille, two, et, one, Alex, two, qui me, two, tiennent, one, compagnie, three, aujourd'hui, three. Okay, so we had bonjour, voici Camille et Alex qui me tiennent compagnie aujourd'hui. And you might have started to hear the moments when the voice goes up or down, when there are some pauses, and these show the end of a cluster of words, the end of a phrase or a clause that would make sense on its own. Bonjour, hello, that makes sense alone. Voici, add a tiny pause, and that's for here are, so let me introduce. Camille, Camille, I'm introducing her, or him, or them, but because I'm introducing them, I do a micropause after their name, because that's the main that's the main information I want you to remember. Camille, Alex. So, bonjour, voici. So here you're getting ready, you're like, oh, she's introducing something. Camille, et, which was barely heard, et, because it's just and, we don't care. Alex, now we have a dramatic pause again, because it's really important. Qui me tienne, the main accent is on tienne, which is for keeping here, so who are keeping me. Compagnie, company, aujourd'hui, today. So bonjour, voici Camille et Alex qui me tiennent compagnie aujourd'hui. Main information, hello, Camille, Alex, company today. Okay, so you can see that although there's quite a steady pace, we also use stresses to emphasize the key information in a sentence. That's the power of intonation in French, which I really like. And that's also what makes it rather flexible. So if you've heard people say it's very inflexible, actually it is a bit more flexible than you think. Now, the next exercises I'm going to be using books, and this is where I probably won't stop gushing because I love my books. I will put time codes when I'm editing. So if you want to skip the anecdotes, you don't always have a time code to skip the anecdotes. Anecdote 1. This, raconte-moi une histoire ce soir. Raconte-moi une histoire ce soir. So, raconte-moi une histoire ce soir. We have 3, 3, 2 syllables. This is a bedtime storybook, and it's really, really cool. It says at the back, une histoire pour chaque soir de l'année. So, a story for every evening of the year. And every story is dated, so you can see there's colorful little stripes here. And obviously I'm going to use the 16th of July today because that's the date today. But yeah, this is a book I grew up with, and then we lost it. And a few years ago I remembered it, and I asked my mom, can you find it at home and just bring it to me if you guys aren't using it? And she tried to find it and she couldn't. And then I tried to find it online, and I did find some second-hand versions. It's not in print anymore. You can't get it brand new anymore. So mine's tatty and old. And I couldn't get it delivered in the UK because the European seller was like, we're not delivering to the UK, we're not doing this. I couldn't even buy it. So I basically transferred money to my mom's account and asked her to purchase it and have it delivered at her place. And then she had it sent to me, which was a brilliant, exciting day. I was so chuffed because it's full of stories. Because I figured I could use some of that in school. I haven't ended up doing it yet. I might still. And also just because nostalgia, come on, like, it's so cool. It's, what is it, wistful, is that a word? I think it is a word. I think that's the word I'm looking for. Anyway, it's sweet, it's nostalgic for me. It's a childhood memory, it's precious. It was probably one of the first books I remember reading. After the ones I used in primary school to learn to read. Or before primary school to learn to read. Anyway, I digress. This is really cool, and I discovered when my mom sent it that it's actually translated for German, which I never knew, so doubly excited. I also discovered my very favorite childhood book was actually translated from Italian. It's a beautiful storybook. I don't know why I haven't used that one, it was beautiful, but we'll use it in another video, it's fine. For this one, end of anecdote. You can tell I love my books. So 16th of July, same exercise. I'm going to read one sentence at a time, but because it's a storybook, I'm going to read it with a much more story-like voice. Slow it down a little bit, obviously, and you try and count your syllables. You can also maybe this time add in a code for the pauses, so you have like maybe that for syllables and that for pauses. That'd be interesting. I'm starting to do weird things with my hands. So let's get started. 1, 2, 3. Un bonhomme de neige en été. 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 So the way that it's read tells you in this title we have two pieces of information. We have one that goes in 5 syllables and one that goes in 3. Un bonhomme de neige, you can probably guess what that is because you have a picture en été. What season is that? Come on, I'm sure you know it. We've learnt it. Year 7, we've learnt it. In summer! That's right. It's a snowman in summer. 16th of July snowman. First sentence of the story. Sais-tu qui se tient là-bas dans le jardin? 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 So we've got, do you know who's over there in the garden? Who is it? Un bonhomme de neige. Un bonhomme de neige. 5. And I'm not going to carry on because otherwise this video will take forever. But hopefully you're starting to see syllables. Now that was the beginning of a child's story. Now the next example I'm going to take from this novel, Jacques le fataliste et son maître. Jacques le fataliste et son maître. So that's another title in 5 and 3. Oh, that's interesting. I didn't even do that on purpose. Jacques le fataliste, 5, et son maître, 3. How cool is that? And that was written by Denis Diderot. Now, that was a philosopher, a French philosopher, and he contributed to writing the encyclopedia in the 18th century with the other group of what we call les Lumières, which literally means lights. Lumière is the name of that little candlestick thing in Beauty and the Beast because it means light, literally. But it's during the Enlightenment phase when you have philosophers and scientists and writers, and they were all trying to help spread knowledge out and educate the masses on the belief that education and knowledge are power. And so if you help people learn stuff, you give them more power over their life and more agency, which is really cool. I love Diderot, he's awesome. Now this is not a translation from German, it's an actual French text, French novel from the 18th century. I studied that probably at school, when was it, 12, 13 years ago? And I still have that book. I love it. Oh, it smells good. So, same exercises here. And funnily enough, we also start with a question. Again, if I'd planned this, it would be awesome. I didn't plan it. I love Serena. So, ready? Don't forget to count your syllables. Comment s'était-il rencontré? Comment s'était-il rencontré? Comment s'était-il rencontré? 8 syllables. Par hasard, comme tout le monde. Par hasard, comme tout le monde. Par hasard, comme tout le monde. This is such a nice rhythm. It's 3 and 3. How cool is that? Like, okay, what does it mean? It means how had they met? By chance, like everyone does. And I'm not going to carry on because I feel like this is already going to take ages to watch and edit, and I'm getting way too excited for educational content. I need to calm down because excited me doesn't tend to make more sense than calm me, I think. So this is it for listening to and counting syllables. One syllable is one beat. It's articulated around a vowel phoneme. It could be an open syllable which ends with a vowel phoneme, or it could be a closed syllable which ends with a consonant phoneme. And in French, normally every syllable has an equal value to the syllables next to it, and that means that you should more or less have a steady beat to listen to. However, we tend to speak quite fast in French, and that's where you're like, there are no syllables, it's all mixed together, it's a mess. No, it's not. It's because you're not used to it. Just like the way I'm speaking English right now is probably pretty fast. And so if someone's learning English, this wouldn't be the way to start, probably. So that's it. Next time we'll look at how to start transferring this knowledge of syllables to our reading and writing skills. And we'll also start looking at how stresses and connections between words work and stuff. Like, it's really exciting. I have a huge plan drawn up, which will take a while to get through, as always. please do let me know in the comments below what you thought of this video. If it was helpful and you know why, could you please let me know what helped. If you have suggestions on how to make the content more helpful, please give them to me down below, whether it is in just like the layout or the setting or too many anecdotes or the exercises and things like that. Any feedback, honestly, give it to me. If you like this video, give it a like. If you know people this might help, share. I'm coming back to the comments just because I realize this is a little bit amateurish. I am not a video maker. I have absolutely no training at all in that sort of thing. I'm trying to teach in a classroom, like with actual people in front of me and a lot of back and forth. This is very counterintuitive for me, and so if videos don't get views, don't get likes, or don't get comments, I'm probably very quickly going to lose the drive to make them, because for every 15-20 minute video you see, I've probably had to work on them for about between 8 and 15 hours each in different sittings, between research and scripting and trying to set up the camera properly and recording it several times and editing and uploading it. Honestly, takes hours. So if it doesn't feel like it's helping anyone, then there's no point doing it. I'm not doing it for my own entertainment, but I'm doing it to try and help people that are learning French, and therefore your comments and your questions are really, really important for this to carry on, either in the current form it has or in another form. So do let me know how I can be of help. Let me know how I can improve the content I'm offering. Let me know if you have specific questions in mind. Let me know if you have ideas of stuff that you think is realistic and I could actually do it. Your feedback matters, so yeah, please let me know if that was helpful, and if it wasn't, how can I make it better? That'd be really, really cool. Other than that, I think the weather's supposed to hold. If you're watching this as it's uploaded and released, have a lovely weekend. Take care of yourself, keep smiling, take every chance you have to count syllables. Maybe you could listen to French music and try and count the syllables that people are singing. That would be cool. And I'll see you in another video. Bye! Bye, Camille! And bye, Alex! Vowels. No, syllables. That will be cut in editing, obviously. So, because if you don't remember, we said in a previous video that your vowels are basically your meat of the language, and or the bone of the language, and the consonant sounds are your joints. So imagine if your body was just all bones, vowel phonemes, so bones, and there was no ligament, no tendon, no joint. Obviously you'd just be like a pile of disjointed bones, and you wouldn't look like a person at all. But if you add the joints, which in terms of phonics are your consonants, now we can attach the bones together and oh my god, look, there's a skeleton. I mean, imagine I'm a skeleton, and that's your vowel consonant system. And then obviously you add muscle, flesh and all of that. I don't know what that would be in my metaphor. It's not a very good analogy if you dig too deep, but don't dig. Pity. Let's get started. I'm gonna cough. I'm fine. I'm just talking too much. I'm not used to talking anymore. I don't want to talk anymore. Shut up.